Welcome back to Crazy HOA Life. The group chat loved her story until the proof dropped. I do not care what you think you saw. Karen screamed that my name was going in the minutes as a warning to everyone. She was standing at the front of the clubhouse meeting room, one hand gripping a laminated policy sheet, the other pointing directly at me. The charity cash box from the community garage sale fundraiser had been moved, and Nicole Barrett, president of Oak Harbor Community Association, had just announced to 30 homeowners that I was the last person near the table before it disappeared. I work the overnight shift lead at a warehouse outside Tucson. I came home this morning to find a printed notice zip-tied to my porch railing. Oak Harbor Community Association, it said at the top. Violation pending investigation. I had no idea what it meant until I checked my phone and saw the group text thread blowing up. Nicole had posted in the official channel that a theft had occurred during yesterday's fundraiser and that she had personally witnessed suspicious behavior near the cash box. She did not name me in the text. She did not have to. Half the community already knew she had it out for me because I had filed a complaint last month about her blocking my guest parking passes without cause. Now she was standing in front of everyone, her voice climbing higher with every sentence. You were standing right there. You moved the box. I saw you pick it up and walk away with it. I did not move anything, I said. My voice stayed flat. I was helping fold tables. The box was on the registration desk the entire time. Nicole shook the laminated sheet like it was a legal summons. I am the one who decides what counts. And I am telling you, your behavior yesterday was suspicious. The box is missing. You were the last one near it. That is enough for me. She hit a button on the portable thermal printer sitting on the table beside her. A small strip of paper fed out. She ripped it off and held it up. This is your formal notice. You have 72 hours to provide a written statement and proof you did not take the funds. If you do not comply, I will refer this to the county sheriff and recommend you be trespassed from all common areas. The room went silent. A few people shifted in their seats. Someone near the front coughed. I felt my chest tighten. I am rebuilding my finances after a bad year, and I cannot absorb bogus fees or legal hassles. A trespass warning would wreck my lease terms and put me in violation with my landlord. I need to see the camera footage, I said. There is no camera at the registration table, Nicole said. But I do not need a camera. I have my own eyes. Your timeline is irrelevant. She turned to the rest of the room. I want everyone to know that I take theft in this community very seriously. If someone can walk off with funds meant for charity, what else are they taking? Packages? Keys? I am not going to let this slide just because someone thinks they can lawyer their way out of it. I walked out before I said something I would regret. The next morning, I found another notice. This one was zip-tied to my porch, railing with a bright orange warning tag attached. The tag had no readable print, just a bold diagonal stripe that screamed official. I pulled it off and checked the date stamp on the thermal printout. It was dated 2 hours after the meeting. Nicole must have walked over in the middle of the night and attached it herself. I called the Oak Harbor management office. The receptionist, a woman named Claire, picked up on the second ring. I need to request the incident report for yesterday's fundraiser, I said. Nicole Barrett is accusing me of theft, and I need to see what was actually filed. Claire paused. She said something quiet to someone in the background, then came back. We do not have an incident report on file yet. Nicole said she was handling it directly through the board. That is not how it works, I said. If there is a theft allegation, there has to be a written complaint with details and witness statements. I need a copy. Claire sighed. I will pass that along. But just so you know, the manager is siding with Nicole on this. He told me this morning that if you come in, I should tell you to submit your statement in writing and leave. That was the side complication I did not need. The receptionist was trying to help, but the manager was already hostile and defensive, probably because Nicole had his ear first. I drove to the management office anyway. When I walked in, Nicole was already there. She had dragged a rolling file cart into the lobby like it was a courtroom exhibit. The cart had 3 wire baskets stacked on it, each one stuffed with papers and folders. She was standing at the counter talking to Claire, one hand on the cart handle, the other hand jabbing toward the receptionist. "He does not get to submit anything," Nicole said. "I already filed the board resolution. If he wants to dispute it, he can request a hearing in writing and wait for the scheduling committee to review it. That is the process." Claire looked past her and saw me. Her face went pale. Nicole turned around. Her expression shifted from smug to furious in half a second. She stepped away from the counter and positioned herself between me and Claire. "I told you to stay away from this office," Nicole said. "You are not welcome here until this is resolved." "I am a homeowner," I said. "I have a right to request records." Nicole pulled a laminated policy sheet from the top basket of her cart and waved it in my face. She did not let me read it. She just held it up like a shield. "This policy clearly states that any homeowner under investigation for theft or vandalism cannot access common facilities or submit requests until the matter is closed. I am enforcing that right now." "Show me where it says that," I said. She pulled the sheet back and tucked it under her arm. "You do not get to interrogate me. I am the one who decides what counts. Now leave before I call security." There was no security. Oak Harbor contracted a private patrol company that did 1 slow drive-through per night. But Nicole said it like she had a deputy on speed dial. Claire spoke up from behind the counter. Her voice was quiet but firm. "Nicole, he is allowed to request records. That is in the county code. I cannot refuse him." Nicole spun around and leaned over the counter. "Claire, I am instructing you, as board president, to refuse his request and to send him away. If you do not, I will escalate this to the regional supervisor." I took my phone out and started recording. I held it low, but Nicole saw the red light. "You are not allowed to record in here," she said. "Actually, I am," I said. "This is a public meeting space, and you are performing an official HOA function. Arizona is a one-party consent state. You can ask me to leave, but you cannot stop me from recording while I am here." Nicole grabbed the handle of her file cart and shoved it toward the door. "Get out," she said. "Now." I left. But I kept the recording. That afternoon, I started pulling my own evidence. I have a doorbell camera on my front porch. I pulled the footage from the day of the fundraiser. I was on screen for exactly 4 minutes while I helped fold tables near the side door of the clubhouse. The cash box was on the registration desk the entire time. I never walked near it. I never touched it. I never even looked in that direction. The camera angle showed the desk in the far background, and the box was visible sitting on top of a clipboard the whole time. I saved the file and checked the metadata. The recording was stamped at 11:23 in the morning. Nicole had claimed in her notice that the box went missing around 11:45 and that I was the last one near it before she noticed it was gone. My footage showed me walking back to my car at 11:26. I was not even in the building when the box disappeared. I also pulled up the Oak Harbor resident portal and checked the complaint logs. Nicole had filed 3 complaints in the last 6 months, all against different homeowners, all for petty violations like improper trash can placement or unapproved holiday decorations. 2 of those complaints had been closed with no action. One resulted in a $25 fine that was later refunded after the homeowner proved the decoration was within code. I took screenshots of the complaint log and the timestamps. Then I noticed something strange. All 3 complaints had been uploaded to the portal within minutes of each other, even though they were dated weeks apart. The file creation timestamps did not match the incident dates. Someone had backdated them. I sent a formal records request to the management office. I asked for copies of all complaints filed by Nicole Barrett in the last year, plus any incident reports related to missing funds or theft from common areas. I sent it via certified email so there would be a timestamp. Claire replied within an hour. She said the manager had denied my request pending resolution of the theft investigation. She also said, off the record, that I should talk to the regional supervisor because the manager was refusing to log my request in the system. I called the regional supervisor. His name was Phil, and he sounded tired. "I have been hearing about Oak Harbor," he said. "What is going on now?" I explained the situation. I told him about the missing cash box, the accusation, the notices, and the blocked records request. Phil was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Nicole Barrett is a problem. She has been escalating enforcement actions without board votes, and I have had 3 complaints about her in the last 2 months. But I cannot override her unless there is a clear policy violation or a legal issue." "Do you have proof she is lying?" "I have doorbell footage that shows I was not near the cash box when it disappeared," I said. "I also have portal screenshots that show she backdated complaints. And I have a recording of her trying to block my records request." "Send me everything," Phil said. "I will review it. But I need to warn you, she is going to escalate before I can intervene." "She does that. She pushes until someone pushes back hard enough to make her stop." He was right. The next morning, I woke up to a text from my neighbor. There was a bright orange warning tag zip-tied to my car windshield. I went outside and found the tag flapping in the wind. Beneath it was a printed notice. "Parking violation. Unauthorized overnight guest vehicle. Tow authorization pending." My car was registered with the HOA. I had submitted the form and paid the fee when I moved in. There was no guest vehicle. Nicole was just making things up now. I took a photo of the tag and the notice. Then I checked the time. It was 6 in the morning. The notice was dated 5:30. Nicole must have come by in the dark and tagged my car herself. I called the tow company listed on the notice. The dispatcher told me that Nicole had submitted a tow request the night before and that a driver was scheduled to arrive within the hour. I told her I was the registered owner and that the vehicle was in compliance. She put me on hold. When she came back, she said the request had been flagged as board authorized and that I would need to resolve it with the HOA before they could cancel the tow. I called Phil. He did not answer. I left a voicemail and a text. Then I called Claire at the management office. She picked up on the first ring. "Nicole is trying to tow my car," I said. "Can you pull my vehicle registration and confirm I am in compliance?" Claire hesitated. "I can see your registration. You are in compliance. But Nicole submitted an override request last night claiming your vehicle is a safety hazard because it is parked too close to the fire lane. The manager approved it." "That is a lie," I said. "I am parked in my assigned space. There is no fire lane within 50 feet. "I know," Claire said, "but the manager is not here yet, and I do not have the authority to cancel the tow. You need to talk to Nicole directly or wait for Phil to intervene." I hung up and walked over to Nicole's townhouse. She was standing on her front porch, arms crossed, watching me approach. She had the portable thermal printer sitting on the porch railing beside her. "You need to cancel the tow," I said. "No," she said. "You violated the parking policy. Your vehicle is being removed." "I am in my assigned space," I said. "You know that." Nicole smiled. "I am the one who decides what counts, and I have decided that your vehicle is a hazard. If you want to dispute it, you can file an appeal. The next hearing is in 6 weeks." I pulled out my phone and opened the doorbell footage. I held it up so she could see the screen. This is from the fundraiser. I was not near the cash box. I left before it disappeared. You lied. Nicole glanced at the screen, then looked away. That does not prove anything. You could have edited it. It has a timestamp, I said. It is authenticated through the cloud service. You cannot fake that. Nicole shrugged. I do not care. I saw what I saw. And until you prove otherwise, you are under investigation. That means no access to common areas, no records requests, and no parking privileges. If you do not like it, hire a lawyer. She picked up the thermal printer and walked inside. The door slammed behind her. I stood there for a moment, breathing hard. Then I turned and walked back to my car. The tow truck was pulling into the parking lot. I flagged down the driver before he could hook up my car. I showed him my registration and my phone with the doorbell footage timestamp. I explained that the tow request was fraudulent and that the HOA president was retaliating against me for filing a complaint. The driver, a middle-aged man in a company polo, looked at my phone, then at the paperwork Nicole had submitted. He scratched his head. This does not look right, he said. The request says you are blocking a fire lane, but I do not see a fire lane here, and your registration matches the space number. Can you refuse the tow? I asked. He hesitated. I can, but the HOA is going to push back. They will probably call my supervisor and claim I am not following procedure. I need something in writing that says this is a bad request. I called Phil again. This time, he answered. I explained the situation. Phil sighed. Put the driver on the phone, he said. I handed the phone to the tow driver. He listened for a moment, nodded, then handed the phone back to me. I am canceling the tow, the driver said. Your supervisor said he is going to file a complaint with the HOA management company and document this as retaliation. He also said you should take pictures of everything and keep a log. The driver unhooked his equipment and drove away. I took photos of the orange warning tag, the fake notice, and my car in its assigned space. Then I sent everything to Phil. An hour later, Nicole posted a community warning on the Oak Harbor message board. She did not name me, but she did not have to. Attention Oak Harbor residents. We have a confirmed theft incident involving funds from our recent charity fundraiser. The individual responsible has been identified and is currently under investigation. For your safety, please be vigilant about locking your vehicles and securing your packages. This person has shown a pattern of suspicious behavior, and we are working with local authorities to address it. If you have any information, please contact me directly. I screenshot the post and sent it to Phil. Then I checked the replies. 3 neighbors had already commented asking for more details. One person asked if the individual was still living in the community. Another said they had noticed someone walking near the mailbox cluster late at night and wondered if it was related. Nicole replied to that comment within minutes. I cannot share details while the investigation is ongoing, but I can confirm that we are monitoring the situation closely. If you see anything unusual, please report it immediately. I felt my chest tighten. She was poisoning the well. Even if I cleared my name, half the neighborhood would still think I was a thief. I called my landlord. I explained what was happening and asked if the HOA could force him to terminate my lease. He said no, but he also said that if the HOA formally trespassed me from common areas, it could be considered a lease violation because I would lose access to the mailbox cluster and the guest parking lot. I need this resolved, I said. If Nicole keeps escalating, I could lose my housing. The landlord sighed. I will send a letter to the HOA asking for documentation of the complaint. But I cannot do much more than that. You need to fight this yourself. I spent the next 2 days gathering evidence. I pulled every piece of footage I had from my doorbell camera. I requested a copy of the vehicle registration from the management office, even though Claire had already confirmed I was in compliance. I downloaded the portal audit log that showed Nicole had backdated complaints, and I printed out the text thread where she had posted the community warning without naming me. Then, I drove to the county sheriff substation and asked to speak to a deputy about filing a counter-complaint. The deputy, a woman in her 40s, listened to my story and took notes. "This sounds like a civil dispute," she said. "We cannot arrest someone for making a false accusation in an HOA matter unless there is fraud or harassment that rises to a criminal level. But I can document your statement and give you an incident number. If this escalates, you will have a paper trail." She handed me a case number printout. I asked her if she could also document Nicole's statements on the record. "If you want me to contact her, I can," the deputy said, "but she will probably lawyer up, and that will slow everything down. My advice is to keep gathering evidence and push for a resolution through the management company. If she keeps harassing you, come back and we will file a formal report." I left the substation and drove to the management office. This time I brought a binder with printed copies of everything: the doorbell footage stills, the audit log screenshots, the fake tow notice, the parking registration, and the deputy's incident number. Claire was at the front desk. When she saw me walk in with the binder, her face went pale. "Nicole is not here," she said quickly. "I am not here for Nicole," I said. "I am here to submit a formal rebuttal to her theft accusation. I have proof that I was not near the cash box when it disappeared, and I have proof that she has been filing fraudulent complaints." I slid the binder across the counter. Claire opened it and flipped through the pages. Her expression shifted from nervous to stunned. "This is a lot," she said. "It is everything," I said. "I need you to log this in the system and forward it to Phil and the board. I also need a receipt showing that I submitted it today." Claire nodded. She scanned the binder and printed a receipt. Then she said, quietly, "You should know that Nicole has been pressuring the manager to block your access to the clubhouse and the pool. She is trying to get a formal trespass order signed. The manager has not agreed yet, but she is not giving up." "When is she planning to do it?" I asked. "She submitted the request this morning," Claire said. "The manager is supposed to review it by end of day tomorrow." That gave me less than 24 hours. I called Phil again. This time I did not wait for him to answer. I left a voicemail that was 2 minutes long. I told him about the evidence binder, the trespass threat, and the timeline. I told him that if Nicole succeeded in getting me trespassed, I would lose my lease and my housing. I told him I needed him to intervene before the manager signed anything. Phil called me back an hour later. "I am coming to Oak Harbor tomorrow," he said. "I am going to meet with the manager and review everything you submitted. I am also going to pull Nicole's complaint history and check the portal logs myself. If she has been backdating records, that is a serious violation, and I can suspend her access pending a board vote." "What about the trespass order?" I asked. "I am going to tell the manager not to sign it," Phil said. "But I cannot force him. If he signs it anyway, you will need to file an appeal with the board, and that could take weeks." "I do not have weeks," I said. "Then you need to make your case airtight," Phil said. "Bring everything you have. If Nicole shows up, stay calm and let me handle her." The next afternoon, I drove to the management office for the meeting. Phil was already there, sitting in the manager's office with the door open. The manager, a man in his 50s with a polo shirt and a defensive posture, was leaning back in his chair with his arms crossed. Nicole was in the lobby. She had her rolling file cart with her again, plus a new prop, a sealed evidence bag with a small item inside. She was holding it up like a trophy. "This," she said loudly as I walked in, "is proof that he has been stealing packages. I found this in the common area trash bin yesterday. It is a torn mailer with his address on it. He has been opening packages that do not belong to him and throwing away the evidence. I walked past her without speaking and went into the manager's office. Phil stood up and shook my hand. "Let me see your binder," he said. I handed it to him. He flipped through it while the manager watched. Nicole followed me into the office and stood in the doorway with her file cart and evidence bag. "Phil," she said, "I have new evidence. He has been stealing packages. I found this in the trash yesterday, and it has his address on it. This proves he is lying." Phil looked up at her. "Nicole, that is not how evidence works. A torn mailer in a common trash bin does not prove he stole anything. It proves someone threw away a mailer, and even if it did have his address, that just means he received a package and threw away the packaging. That is not theft." Nicole's face went red. "You are not listening to me. I am telling you, he is a thief. I saw him near the cash box. I saw him acting suspicious near the mailboxes. I saw him throw this away. He is guilty." Phil closed the binder and looked at the manager. "I reviewed the portal logs this morning. Nicole uploaded 3 complaints in the last 6 months, all dated weeks apart, but all uploaded within 5 minutes of each other. The file creation timestamps do not match the incident dates. That is backdating, and it is a policy violation." The manager shifted in his seat. He looked uncomfortable. "I did not know about that." "You should have," Phil said. "You are supposed to review complaints before they are logged. If you had, you would have caught this." Phil turned to Nicole. "I am also recommending that the board vote to replace you as president. You have been escalating enforcement actions without votes, filing fraudulent complaints, and harassing homeowners. This ends now." Nicole stared at him. Her mouth opened and closed. Then she turned and walked out, dragging her file cart behind her. Phil looked at me. "I am canceling the trespass order. You are in compliance. Nicole cannot touch you." "What about the theft accusation?" I asked. "I reviewed your doorbell footage and the timestamps," Phil said. "You were not near the cash box when it disappeared. I also pulled the clubhouse security logs. The side door was propped open during the event, and at least 6 people walked in and out during the window when the box went missing. Nicole has no proof you took it, and she has no grounds to pursue it further." He handed me a printed letter on management company letterhead. "This is your clearance letter. If Nicole tries anything else, send her this and copy me." I took the letter and left. As I walked through the lobby, I saw Nicole standing near the front door, staring at her phone. She looked up as I passed and said, "You think you won? You did not. I am going to make sure everyone knows what you are." I kept walking. 2 days later, I got a call from Claire. Nicole had submitted a new complaint claiming I was vandalizing common property. She said I had been seen spray painting graffiti on the mailbox cluster. "I have not been near the mailboxes," I said. "I know," Claire said. "But Nicole is not giving up. She is trying to find anything she can pin on you. She is also telling neighbors that you threatened her during the meeting with Phil. She is recruiting people against her." That was her lie type. She was claiming neutrality while actively building a campaign to destroy me. I started checking the mailbox cluster every day. I took photos of it from every angle. There was no graffiti, no damage, nothing. Then one evening I walked over to check my mail and saw a gate staff worker standing near the entrance to the mailbox area. He was holding a clipboard and talking on his radio. "You the one with the dispute with Barrett?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "She called this morning and told me to refuse you access to the mailboxes," he said. "She said you are under investigation and that I am supposed to send you away if you show up." I pulled out the clearance letter from Phil and handed it to him. He read it and handed it back. "She cannot suspend your access," he said. This letter says you are in compliance. If she keeps calling, tell her to take it up with the regional supervisor. I am not playing gatekeeper for her drama. That was my extra witness. A gate staff worker who was willing to push back. I went home and pulled up the Oak Harbor community portal one more time. I noticed something I had missed before. The complaint logs had a delete function. If you had admin access, you could delete a complaint entry and it would disappear from the public log, but it would leave a ghost record in the system audit trail. I checked the audit trail. Nicole had deleted 2 complaints in the last month. Both were filed by other homeowners against her. One was about her blocking a neighbor's guest pass. The other was about her entering someone's patio area without permission to photograph a code violation. I screenshot the audit trail and sent it to Phil. He replied within minutes. That is it. I am locking her out of the portal. She no longer has admin access. I am also forwarding this to the board and recommending they hold an emergency vote to remove her. The next day, Nicole tried to pressure a vendor. She called the gate company and told them to refuse my entry to the pool area. The gate company called Phil to verify. Phil told them to ignore her. The gate company called me and apologized. Nicole also called the tow company again and tried to resubmit the tow request for my car. The dispatcher recognized my plate number and called me directly to confirm. I told her the request was fraudulent and that I had a clearance letter. She canceled it and flagged Nicole's account as a problem caller. By the end of the week, Nicole had burned through every enforcement tool she had. She had no portal access, no vendor cooperation, no staff willing to follow her orders, and Phil had scheduled an emergency board meeting to vote on her removal. The meeting was held at the clubhouse. I was not required to attend, but I went anyway. I sat in the back row and watched as Phil presented the evidence. The portal audit trail, the backdated complaints, the fraudulent tow requests, the harassment complaints from other homeowners. Nicole tried to defend herself. She stood at the front of the room and said she had been doing her job. She said she had been protecting the community from theft and vandalism. She said I was the problem, not her. One of the board members, a man in his 60s, raised his hand. Nicole, he said, we reviewed the evidence. You deleted complaints. You backdated records. You harassed a homeowner who was in compliance. You pressured vendors to refuse service. You lied about a theft incident. We cannot keep you in this position. The board voted 4-1 to remove her as president. Nicole watched it happen. She did not say anything. She just picked up her portable thermal printer and walked out. The HOA sent a community message the next day. It did not name me, but it corrected the rumor. The message said that a recent theft allegation had been reviewed and found to be without merit. The accused homeowner had been cleared of all charges, and the matter was closed. But I was not done. I still wanted to know what happened to the cash box. I started asking around. I talked to neighbors who had been at the fundraiser. I talked to the vendors who had donated items. I talked to the gate staff who had been on duty that day. One neighbor told me something strange. She said she had seen Nicole carrying a shopping bag from the clubhouse to her car right after the fundraiser ended. The bag looked heavy, and Nicole had been walking fast, like she did not want anyone to stop her. I checked the clubhouse security footage. The cameras did not cover the registration desk, but they did cover the parking lot. I pulled the timestamp from the neighbor's comment and found the clip. Nicole was on camera carrying a shopping bag to her car. The timestamp was 11:50. 5 minutes after I had left. 5 minutes after she claimed the cash box had disappeared. I sent the clip to Phil. He forwarded it to the board and the county sheriff. A deputy came to Oak Harbor 2 days later. He asked to speak to Nicole. She refused to answer her door. The deputy left a card and a case number. Then Phil called me. We found something, he said. One of the board members had access to the clubhouse storage closet. We did an inventory. there is a bin in the restricted area with items that do not belong to the HOA. Petty cash, unopened packages, supplies from the clubhouse. We took photos. He sent me a photo. I recognized one of the packages. It had a torn corner that matched the mailer Nicole had tried to use as evidence against me. Phil filed a formal complaint with the sheriff. The board voted to terminate Nicole's access to all common areas, and the management company sent a letter to every homeowner in Oak Harbor explaining what had happened and apologizing for the disruption. Nicole moved out 2 weeks later. I do not know where she went. I do not care. But I still needed a payoff. I wanted her humiliated in a way that would stick. The opportunity came when the tow company called me. They said Nicole had tried to submit one more tow request, this time claiming my car was abandoned. The dispatcher recognized my plate again and called to verify. I told her it was fraudulent and asked if she could conference Nicole in so I could confront her directly. The dispatcher hesitated, then said, "Actually, our policy is to record escalation calls for quality assurance. If you want me to call her and put it on speaker, I can do that. You can listen in." "Do it," I said. The dispatcher called Nicole. The phone rang 3 times, then Nicole picked up. "This is Nicole Barrett. What is the status of my tow request?" The dispatcher said, "Ma'am, we have received multiple fraudulent requests from your account. We are refusing service and flagging your number. If you submit another request, we will report it to law enforcement." There was a long silence. Then Nicole said, "You cannot do that. I am the HOA president." "You are not the president anymore," the dispatcher said. "We verified that with the management company. You have no authority to request tows. Stop calling." The dispatcher hung up. Then she said to me, "That is going on file. If she tries again, we will forward it to the sheriff." I asked her to send me a copy of the recording. She said she could not, but she confirmed that it was logged in their system with my plate number as the reference. That was enough. I printed the clearance letter, the audit log screenshots, the doorbell footage stills, and the storage bin photo. I put them in a binder and delivered it to the county attorney's office. I filed a formal complaint for harassment, theft, and fraud. The clerk gave me a case number and said they would review it. The board held one more meeting to discuss restitution. They voted to refund every homeowner who had been fined under Nicole's watch for violations that were later found to be bogus. They also voted to hire an independent auditor to review the HOA's financials and identify any other missing funds. The audit found that Nicole had been skimming petty cash from the community fund for at least 2 years. The total was over $3,000. The board filed a civil claim against her. I do not know if they ever collected. But the final humiliation moment happened at the tow staging area. I had driven there to pick up a spare key I had left with the tow company months earlier. When I pulled into the lot, I saw Nicole standing near the office entrance, arguing with the dispatcher. The dispatcher was standing in the doorway with her arms crossed. A vendor confirms on speaker that Karen pressured them, and everyone hears it, Phil had said. That moment was happening live. Nicole was shouting. The dispatcher was holding a phone on speaker. A voice from the phone, calm and professional, was saying, "We have recordings of you calling our office 12 times in 2 weeks trying to get the same vehicle towed. We refused every request. You lied about the vehicle status. You lied about your authority. You threatened our staff. We have flagged your account, and we will not work with you again." Nicole saw me. Her face went white. She turned and walked to her car without another word. I walked into the office. The dispatcher looked at me and shook her head. "She is done," she said. "We sent the recordings to the county and the management company. She is not calling here again." I thanked her. and left. 2 months later, the HOA sent a final community message. It said that the board had completed its review of the theft incident and related complaints. Nicole Barrett had been removed from her position and banned from holding any HOA leadership role in the future. The missing cashbox funds had been recovered from a personal account, and restitution had been made to the charity. The homeowner who had been falsely accused had been cleared of all charges, and the HOA apologized for the distress caused. The message did not name me, but everyone knew. I kept the clearance letter framed on my wall. Every time I look at it, I remember the moment Nicole dragged that file cart into the management office like she owned the place. I remember her waving that laminated policy sheet. I remember her saying, "I am the one who decides what counts." She decided, and she lost. I appreciate you taking the time to listen.